Howdy and welcome back. So we'll go ahead and continue our discussion by looking at the structure of classes in the C++ programming language. So when we'd like to introduce a user-defined type using the class structure, we're always going to have a header file as well as a corresponding source file. The header file is going to lay out the actual representation and operations for the user-defined type that we're introducing. Just like any other header file, we'll go ahead and have our include guards. Directly preceding those, or within them, I guess, depending on how you'd like to look at this, we'll go ahead and see the introduction of a new user-defined type, in this case called color. Notice that the name of our types are always going to be capitalized, and the name of the header and source files will always be named according to the type, albeit in lowercase convention. When we begin our class definition, this is going to look very similar to structs. We'll go ahead and say, hey, class, followed by the name of the type, in this case, color. We'll see the opening curly brace, and we'll see that our definition is completed with the closed curly brace directly following it a semicolon. When we lay out the definition of our class, we're always going to put up front the public access specifier. The reason why this will always come first is that it introduces the interface to objects of this type. If I'm a user who's interested in employing your user-defined type within my application, the first thing I'm going to look at is the functions or behaviors that objects of that type can do. And this will be specified under the public access specifier. Anything declared under the private access specifier will not be available to me directly. This would include, when we're dealing with classes, all data members for the most part that forms the representation of objects of this type. Instead, those data members will be interacted with through the behaviors of the public interface. In addition to data members, falling under the private access specifier will also include functions that are member functions used to help implement different behaviors prescribed by the public interface. They will not be, however, accessible directly by the user. So you could think about them as more or less supporting the behaviors that will emerge through the public interface. So key thing to keep in mind here is you'll see public member functions here, and they will comprise the interface to objects of this type. Under private, you'll see data members as well as private member functions that are used or leveraged by the public member functions in their implementation. So we mentioned the header file that lays out the definition. We'll see that when we'd like to use, say, our user-defined type, we just have to remember to #include the header file, which will contain all the information that's necessary for the compiler to perform type checking against objects of this type. We'll also introduce this corresponding source file. What we're going to see here is that this file is going to contain the actual definitions of all of the member functions, both public and private, for our user-defined type. What we're going to see here is that these definitions are going to vary a little bit from those we've seen before, in that all of the member functions must be communicated as such to the compiler. To do this, we simply prefix the name with the name of the class followed by the scope resolution operator. We'll go ahead and introduce this to you in the next and last video for this lesson, and I think you'll understand what I mean by this. So let's go ahead and move on to writing our first class in the C++ programming language.